Okay, a couple days ago I posted a video question to the fans of Jordan Peterson, posing the question, in real life, who would be captain of the Enterprise? Would it be Mr. Spock or would it be Kirk? I contend that it would be Spock, because he has the most knowledge, and any knowledge that he's missing, in principle, he could learn. I don't think there's any other dimension. So, lo and behold, I see on Mixed Mental Arts that blur the line, let's pretend it's not there, let's just commingle every argument, let's just mash everything together, Hunter Matz and the like. Episode 248, hashtag KnowledgeBomb, Descartes' Era, 3 minutes. I found the name funny. I haven't looked into what they meant by Descartes' Era, but I'm really hoping it's not cogito ergo sum, which is the only evidence for consciousness that mankind has come up with in thousands of years. It's the one thing that is least likely to be an illusion, because the lights are on. Okay. Let's move on and hear what Kate Fogarty has to say. It's pretty embarrassing.
Hashtag Descartes' Error by Kate Fogarty. Have you ever wondered why Gene Roddenberry made James T. Kirk the captain of the Enterprise and not Mr. Spock? Wouldn't someone less susceptible to their emotions make better decisions and therefore be a better leader? Some people sure think so. Thanks to a French philosopher named René Descartes and some bros like Plato and Immanuel Kant, roughly 400 years of science has poo-pooed the role of emotions in a person's true being. These rationalists believe that to obtain optimal results, you gotta kill the feelings. Turns out, nothing could be wronger. I think...
Gotta kill the feelings? No. I don't... I wouldn't say that at all. In fact, that's absurd. And I'm no expert on the ancient philosophers, but read a fair bit about them, and that's not what they're saying at all. Rationalism gets us things. It has a record of success. That's why we follow it. That's why there's logical consistency.
Therefore, I am René Descartes. Antonio Damasio, a neuroscientist who literally wrote the book on hashtag Descartes' Error, calls the belief that the best decision-making process is unencumbered by emotion high reason view. He also says it's hooey, though in more scientific terms. Damasio's evidence can be summarized by the story of Elliot, a patient whose life went to hell in a handbasket because a tumor ate away the part of his brain that creates emotions. Elliot should have been rationalist's shining example.
I listened to this already. It's like Elliot should have been rationalist's shining example. The guy had a brain disease that ate away part of his brain, and that doesn't mean the rest of his brain was totally rational, right? Okay, he wasn't Mr. Spock. The rest of his brain wasn't Spock, was it? And you're talking about a diseased brain, for goodness sakes. So the analogy doesn't run through at all. It's absurd. And the previous point about emotion, of course emotions are real and they inform decisions and so on. But in principle, everything can be reducible to knowable information, right? And if it's not knowable, what do you know about it, right? You don't know anything. So all information, this is why this Spock-Kirk analogy, in my view, again, I'm open to this, but Spock is just that much more rational, which means higher probability of positive outcomes. When is it, I'll quote Sam Harris, when is it a good time to be irrational? When would that time perfectly present itself? Okay? Think about that, Kate Fogarty and Mixed Mental Arts. You're moonbeaming here, okay?
Removal of his frontal lobe had turned him into a real-life Vulcan, intelligent but free from emotional interference. Instead, Elliot went from being a solid, salt-of-the-earth guy to suddenly incapable of making decisions, even small ones. He could thoroughly list the pros and cons for each choice, but he couldn't figure out which of the criteria were more important to him. He didn't know if he felt more like eating pizza or burgers. He also couldn't finish work.
Just like to throw in, there's no free will, so he has no control over that anyway, but stay on topic.
Projects, maintain a marriage, or realize he was being duped by a con man. I actually can't decide if you should live long or prosper, Mr. Spock. So
I don't know. Is that supposed to be fun? Funny? I don't understand. If you proceed rationally and reward rational decision-making at the highest level and at the smallest level, you'll get the most incremental success, which will lead to the longest life and prosperity. Again, when is it a good time to deviate from the rational? You do the analysis, which itself is rational, by the way, because it's organized. And then you find out A is the rational thing to do, but we're going with B. That does not happen. I would say it never happens in the past. There's always there's a rationalization for sure, but it may not be rational. That may have sounded circular, but I think you know where I'm going with that.
Unless you've had your frontal lobe removed like Elliot, you can't separate your feelings from thoughts, no matter how much you worship science and reason.
Whoever said we want to separate our feelings from thoughts? This is another one of these false, this versus that, two sides of the coin. No. We can have both. We can have a domain of knowledge and science where we do our best to get our personal biases out of the way. That's why science, good science, does its best to disclose its processes, its limitations, and its repeatability, and so on and so on. Scientists are people. I mean, I hate the banality of saying scientists are people, but Jesus, you guys, there's no controversy here.
It was a nice idea, but like haircuts that try to separate the business from the party, it just don't work.
I don't know what that means. I think I might, but that's not funny either.
Having our emotions connected to our thoughts helps us make important decisions, like who to marry. But it's...
Yes, but all decisions, emotional or not, come down to information processing in the brain, which arose through natural causes, unless you think there's a ghost in there. Ghost in the machine, right? Deus machina, whatever the hell you call it, or homunculus, all these words, okay? It's simple, it's information processing. So, incorrect. There is no difference. Where's this difference between these decisions? Where's that extra bit of analysis that's never mentioned?
It's also why facts don't change our minds.
Facts don't change our minds?
To offset this, we must learn to think slow. Knowing about hashtag Descartes' error is integral in understanding how your brain works because it can help you become wise. The ancient Greeks weren't wrong about everything.
I can't believe this woman said, quote, the ancient Greeks weren't wrong about everything. You gigantic ass. The ancient Greeks were right about almost everything. What an astoundingly uninformed, cynical... I mean, you have nothing to say, lady. Nothing. You've never... It's so obvious to me, if these are your words, that you've never done your homework on anything. They were right about things. I mean, embarrassing.
To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. Socrates. Forget stuffing your emotions, pretending they don't exist. I'm looking at you, Mr. Spock. If you want to command the Enterprise and lead us to a better society, you're going to need all of your humanity. This is step 1. Want to read more about your feelings?
We're going to need all of humanity. Again, I'm open to a discussion here, but what extra thing does Kirk bring that could not, in principle, be learned by Spock in a very short period of time? They have the computing on the Enterprise and so on. He could just learn and keep Kirk as his first officer and say, explain that, Jim. Because I'm the best rational machine out here, and that just means I'm the best lottery number picker out here, and lowering the probability that the Enterprise will get blown up by Klingons. What extra thing I want to hear from Kate Fogarty or Hunter Matz or Mixed Mental Arts? What do you think? And now you're gonna do a sales pitch for John Haidt. I mean.
Try The Righteous Mind, Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion, by Jonathan Haidt.
Well, that may or may not be worth reading. But that was pathetic. I can't wait to hear a response from you guys. The deeper I go, the shallower the thought on MMA, and not impressed.